So this first belt style was developed almost 200 years ago by a one-armed warrior who lost his arm in combat and refused to stop fighting. The year was 1858, and the young British officer Samuel Brown learned not to underestimate the fighters of India. He was actually awarded the Victoria Cross, and his citation reads, Samuel James Brown, Commandant of the 2nd Punjab Cavalry, received a severe sword cut which severed the left arm at the shoulder, but not before Lieutenant Colonel Brown had succeeded in cutting down one of his assailants. He prevented a 9-pound gun from being fired on his compatriots, which helped lead to victory that day. But that's not the most interesting part of this story. You see, Sam Brown refused to stop fighting. He wanted to stay in the military. But the deal is, you got to be able to draw your sword, and despite still having his right hand, because he was missing his left arm, this became very difficult. So what'd the guy do? He invented a new type of belt, one that would bear his name and be adopted by militaries all around the world. And the reason being, straight up, it was functional. The belt not only allowed you to securely carry a scabbard, but also made it easy to unsheath with a single hand. It was also secure enough that you could carry a pistol in a flap holder and a binocular case with an additional neck strap. Now, initially, it just spread by word of mouth. The thing worked, other officers started having it made and wearing it. But during the Boer War, it caught fire, was copied by other troops, and eventually became standard issue. Now, the key distinctive feature here is the support strap that goes over the right shoulder. It's a simple design that has been copied and used by militaries around the world. In fact, in my United States Marine Corps, it was encouraged for officers to have the Sam Brown because it made it very easy to pull out the sword. It was also a piece of gear that could only be worn by officers and staff NCOs. And by the way, outside of the military, you do see a number of police units, especially in dress uniforms, to include Canadian Mounted Police, that still wear the Sam Brown today. Now, gents, I share all this information with you because despite the fact the belt is a common accessory, most men don't know where it came from and they don't know how to properly style it. Because yes, examples like the Sam Brown are all about function, but men have been wearing fashionable stylistic belts for a long time to display status. And if you don't think guys care, you have not been watching professional wrestling. I mean, just look at Hulk Hogan right here, Randy the Macho Man Savage, Andre the Giant, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Even The Rock can't help but be moved by the power and symbolism that comes with a belt. Oh, and a side note of history here, Ric Flair is one of only a handful of wrestlers that have actually had multiple belts at the same time. If you know of any others, let me know in the comments below after you watch this video. Now in today's video, gents, we're going to talk belt history. We're going to talk about the different types, the different materials, the different styles, and how to wear them. And I'm going to share with you an interesting story about Elvis Presley and his gold belt. Yeah, the one he wore for almost 3 years nonstop. Why was this belt so important to him? And what was its hidden meaning? But before I get into any of that, gents, I want to introduce you to today's sponsor, Anson Belt and Buckle. Now, gents, for over a decade, I've been talking about Anson Belt and Buckle because I love what these guys do. Their micro adjust system, which makes it easy to adjust your belt to 1/4 of an inch. With Anson Belt and Buckle's micro adjust technology, your belt strap not only continues to look great, but when you wear your belt, it's actually a lot more comfortable. On top of that, let's talk about how their belts and how their buckles are all interchangeable. So when you buy 3 buckles and you buy 3 straps, you don't have 3 belts, you actually have 9 different options. So as you guys know, I talk about the interchangeable wardrobe. I love this concept because you can own less and you can get more out of what you own. It also allows you to have fun. When you go over to their website, you're going to see they've got all different types of straps. And let's talk about their buckles. They've got them in a variety of different metals, of different colors, of different styles. And if you want something a little bit higher end, like a crocodile or Italian calf skin, check out their Premier collection. And don't worry about having to measure for your belt. These belts are made to fit any man with up to a 50-inch waist. It's a simple process. All you need is a pair of scissors to cut it to fit you perfectly. Gents, I know the founders. They treat their customers like family. And you got to support an American company that cares about their customers and has amazing customer service and treats you guys like gold. So gents, get over to Anson Belt and Buckle. I'm putting the link in the description of today's video. And the best deal, by the way, is their box combination where you can choose either 3 straps and 2 buckles or 3 buckles and 2 straps. 6 belt combinations, all for under $100. And if you want to save money, gents, make sure to sign up for their email list. Occasionally they got flash sales up to 20% off on their email list, and on their text club up to 30% off on occasion. So let's start things off with an anatomy lesson, the basic parts of a classic belt. So the 2 most prominent pieces of a belt are going to be the strap and the buckle. Now, more complicated belts are oftentimes going to have more complicated buckles. Now, the main part of the outside of the buckle is oftentimes called the frame. Then commonly there's a bar that connects the strap to the buckle. And finally the prong, which historically has gone into holes cut into the strap. Now on dress belts and some casual belts, you'll also see a keeper loop. The idea here is to keep the strap a little bit closer to the body, and you'll also see on some belts an end tip. More than just being decorative, and also allows the belt to be more easily maneuvered. So having said that, let's now go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about all the different materials we're going to see out there for belts. Now, the first material, and by far the most popular, especially in men's style, is going to be leather. Now, leather is popular for a reason. It's incredibly durable and it's versatile. It can be colored, it can be decorated, it can be engraved into, and there's all different types of leather. You can go with a full grain leather, you can go with a calf skin, and you're also commonly going to see suede out there. Now, right next to leather, you're going to see exotic materials. These are also oftentimes made from animal skins, to include materials like crocodile, ostrich, and even stingray. Now, if you want to go animal free, historically, there are tons of great options when it comes to fabrics. Now, these canvas belts are often made from cotton, but occasionally you'll see wool, flax, linen, and other materials used. Synthetic belts for a lot of guys are also a great option because they're usually going to be less expensive, and over the last few decades have really improved in their variety and the quality options that are available. Now, what about braided belts? So this is where they take thinner leather straps and they go ahead and they braid it together. Woven is a similar thing, but they're using a cotton or a fabric material. Now, when it comes to formality, a dark leather is going to be on the more formal side. On the opposite end, canvas, cotton materials, synthetics, those are going to be on the casual side. Most exotics are going to lean formal, and most woven and braided, those are going to lean casual. Now, occasionally you'll see mixes like a ribbon inlay, so it's using both a canvas material and oftentimes a leather. This is going to lean more casual, and you're going to see these like in preppy stores or for guys that want to be out golfing and want to have fun with their belt. Now, that's straps. So let's talk buckles. The most common buckle we're going to see out there is going to be the frame buckle. Now, depending on the size and the proportions, you're going to see this both in casual and formal belts. Although if you ever see a double pronged belt, know that that is always going to be casual. And speaking of casual, let's talk about one of the most famous type of buckles out there, the plate style buckle. Often found on Western or cowboy belts, these buckles are going to be much more pronounced. They're often going to be decorative. They're going to have all types of engravings, different metals. Their size is going to be larger. And as you can imagine, these should be matched with casual, thicker, heavier leather straps, and they will be casual. Next up, we've got box frame buckles. These are going to be casual as well, and they're often found paired with canvas or fabric straps. The same with O-ring and D-ring buckles. Both of these are going to be casual, and both of these will usually be paired with casual straps. You're also going to see snap buckles out there. These are going to be associated with work belts, belts that basically need either a quick release or have a work-like function. Oh, and let's not forget the micro adjust. Of course, what I love about this one is there are no holes. It's got a micro adjust system that allows you to adjust it to 1/4 of an inch. So after a good Thanksgiving meal, if you've gained about 1/2 inch on the waist, well, you can just let it out a bit and no one's going to notice. So as you can see, depending on the strap, depending on the buckle, and depending on how you combine the two, you can either have a dress belt or a casual belt. Now, assuming all factors are the same and we have what seems to be a classic belt design in black, what do you think? Is this going to be casual? Is this going to be a dress belt? Sometimes it's about the size of the belt. Now, when it comes to width, most dress belts are going to be at about 1.25 inches in width. Casual belts, on the other hand, are going to be about 1.5 to up to 2 inches in width. Now, once a belt starts to go beyond 2 inches in width, it is either a weightlifting belt, a title belt, Macho Man Randy Savage, or it's a fashion statement belt, which nothing against you if you want to pull this off. You've got to have the confidence to pull off a belt like that. Now, this brings up the question, should men ever wear belts as a plain up accessory, where it's more for fashion than it is for the function of keeping your pants up? Now, in general, I'm a little bit more conservative with my style, and probably a lot of you guys that watch my videos are as well. But I don't think there's anything wrong with if you find a belt that you love the look of, it's a style that suits your taste and expresses who you are, then yeah, all the more power to you. Have fun and wear it. And that's why I love the example of the Western belt. You look at these cowboys out there wearing a belt, a buckle that they got from their grandfather, or even more cooler, one that they earned themselves at a rodeo. I mean, if you want to wear that and you're proud of it, you go for it. Now, what if you're a bit of a fashionista? You're into high-end brands. You're a hype beast. I get it, not my thing, but you know what? That Hermes belt with that H, that's actually pretty good looking. I like how they actually did that, and it's now become an iconic piece in fashion circles. Oh, that Gucci double G belt. Again, you know, it's kind of in your face. Not my cup of tea, but I'm sure some of you guys can pull this off. Or maybe you're into Greek mythology and you want the Medusa head. Yeah, right there. That nice Versace belt buckle. If that's you and you love it, go for it. In fact, speaking of gaudy belts, let's talk about Elvis Presley and his gold belt that he wore for a period of about 3 years. You could see it in all these photos. In fact, there was a classic press conference in which he was asked about being so humble, and he just laughed and stood up and showed off this, this gold belt that he had received.
I hear from a lot of people in the press corps that you really are a shy, humble, wonderful human being. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I don't know what makes them think that. This gold belt and
Which the story behind it, in case you don't know it, is really interesting. So apparently in like 1969 or 1970, he had almost 60 performances at the International Hotel, and he sold out almost every single one of them. I think he sold out like 58 out of 60 performances in a period of 4 weeks. I mean, seriously, the dude was performing 2 times a day to sold out crowds, and he was really proud of the work he had done. And more importantly, the hotel recognized him because he had broken every single attendance record that they had in the city of Las Vegas. So on the final night, they presented him this gold belt. He was proud of it. This was a symbol of all the effort and work he had put into it, and he had set records that would stand for years. And I think the lesson for us to take there is there's nothing wrong with having fun with a decorative belt. Something that for you has meaning, something you just like the color of, it works with what you're wearing. I think belts are really an underrated accessory that in the right circumstances you can pull off, but you got to have confidence and you got to know that, okay, like this thing, everyone's going to notice, but there's nothing wrong with it because there's a great story behind it. Now, how to style a belt. The most basic advice, which I'm sure most of you guys have heard, is you need to match metals with metals and leathers with leathers. So what that means, if you're already wearing jewelry, if like for me, I'm a silver guy. So in general, I am going to wear silver belt buckles. I want to keep my metals with my metals. If I'm wearing a pair of shoes that maybe have like a buckle on them or a small strap and it's silver, I want to try to keep that in line with my belt. Now, when it comes to matching leathers with leathers, if I'm wearing black shoes, then in general, I want to wear a black belt. If you're wearing brown shoes, you want to wear a brown shade that is similar. It doesn't have to be exact, but it should be close to the brown shade in your belt. But does this rule always have to be followed? Because think about it. What type of belt am I going to wear with these shoes right here? Do I really need to go out and buy a blue belt? Or should I go out and buy a green belt? If I've only got a dark brown belt, can I wear them with these light tan suede Chelseas? And oh my gosh, white sneakers. Do I really need to have a white belt and match leathers with leathers here? So there's a couple solutions. First up, understand that the matching leathers is a starter rule. An advanced rule, especially if you're wearing shoes like this, is your belt only needs to complement. So if you notice, we actually have 4 colors in this shoe. We have the dark blue, but also we have 2 variations of brown and black. So therefore, you could wear a belt in any of those colors and actually match these shoes. This pair of shoes right here, notice the soles are black. A black belt would be perfect. And when you look at shoes like that, notice all the options we've got here. 3 variations of brown to include the suede. In addition, black would work. Now, a little bit more advanced, and I don't mean to confuse you, but understand that when you understand these rules, you can also bend them and break them. So another option here is to say, you know what, I don't care if the shoes are going to be, grabbing a little bit of attention, but I want that belt to disappear. So either match the belt with your trousers, or if you want to make your torso look longer, match the belt with your shirt. This is especially useful when you have a shoe choice like this, which I don't own a white belt. I don't think you need to have a white belt, but in this case, when you wear these shoes, they are going to be the attention grabbers oftentimes in the outfit. So give them the attention, let your belt disappear by matching it with the trousers or your shirt. Now, what about the question, do you have to wear a belt? Now, in general, if a pair of pants has belt loops and you are tucking in your shirt and you're not wearing suspenders, then in this case, I do think in most cases you want to wear a belt. However, there are certain exceptions to this rule. First up, if you don't like the look of that belt, if you feel it's worn out, if you feel it's going to take away from the outfit, and if you feel, you know what, looking at yourself in the mirror, this is clean, those belt loops aren't bulging out, you like the overall look, then go for it. Another situation is when you're wearing a suit or a jacket on top and the belt's going to be covered. I find that when I'm wearing a suit, I really don't need to wear a belt. In fact, especially traveling, going through security. So if the belt's not serving a functional purpose and keeping your pants up, and if no one is going to see it because you're going to keep that jacket on all night or all day when you're at work, then yeah, in that case, you can go ahead and skip it. Now, when you do wear a belt, check out this graphic right here. think of the gig line. Now, the gig line is a term that comes out of the military, and it's basically to ensure precision, that your belt buckle aligns with the fly of your trousers and the placket of your shirt. Now, whenever I'm getting dressed, I do like to make sure that this is all lined up, but throughout the day, if it changes a bit, I honestly don't care. But I know some of you guys are super detailed about this, so I wanted to share it with you. Now, what about contrasting metals? I do like to keep cooler tone metals with cooler tone metals and warmer tone metals with warmer tones. So you can wear maybe gold with a warmer brass, a shiny silver with titanium, or maybe a pewter. But that being said, I've got some of my favorite watches that mix gold with silver, and you can pull it off. So if you really like the look of that belt, you know what the rule is, but you want to wear it anyway, then you go for it. And with that being said, gents, check out this video right here. If you want to continue to look good this summer, I got you covered in this video right here where we talk about all the accessories you need for summer. So boom, check it out. Good video right here. Oh yeah.